Right, timelines. Okay, so let's dive straight in and let's see what we've got. Here's an example. So I deposit 800 Rand, 2 years later, I deposit that, a year later, I withdraw that. How much do I have 5 years after my initial deposit? There's the interest rate. Right, let's draw the timeline. So, first thing that happens is I deposit 800 Rand. 2 years later, an additional 600 Rand. A year after that, I withdraw 300 Rand. And the question is, how much do I have at that point with these two interest rates? Okay, two methods. First method, work along the number line, the timeline rather, calculating the balance at every point where there's an event. And by an event, I mean some change, either a deposit, a withdrawal, or a change in interest rate. So we can we can go to point T2, and at that point we will have the 800 Rand with 2 years of interest at 15% plus the 600 Rand. All right. Next up we can go to T3. We've put 1 more year of interest onto the total that we had at T2, and we've subtracted the 300 Rand. At this point we can go the whole way to the end. So to our balance at T3, we're going to add 2 years worth of compound interest compounded quarterly, and we get our final amount. A second method, which works really well as well, is to consider each amount in a separate account. So the 800 Rand, basically after 5 years, will have 3 years worth of the 15% per annum interest and 2 years of the 12% compounded quarterly, and it'll be worth that. Our 600 Rand just has 1 year of the 15% interest and then the 2 years of the 12% compounded quarterly, and our minus 300 Rand just has 2 years of the 12% compounded quarterly. When we add all those up, not surprisingly, we get exactly the same result. Now, the reason that method 2 is compelling is if we look at the next example, I wish to raise 15,000 Rand in a 5-year period. Okay, I'm using the same interest rates as last time. So I deposit 5,000 Rand. 2 years later, I deposit a further amount of 2x. And 2 years after that, so actually 1 year after that, I withdraw x. Right. So if I achieve my goal, then find the value of x. Right. So let's take a look now. Method 1, if we work along the timeline, right, we get to there, T2, then we've got to put brackets around all of that and put another year's worth of interest on and then take off an x. Then we've got to put brackets around all of that and then put on the 2 years worth of interest. Now, that all comes to 15,000, and we need to solve that equation. Now, our problem here is that the x's are totally wrapped up inside there. There's a lot of algebra required to try and solve that. Okay, if we do method 2, all right, and we just work out what our 5,000 Rand is worth right at the end, we work out what our 2x is worth right at the end, we work out what our minus x is worth right at the end, and we add them all together, then we've got an equation. Now, the huge advantage with this equation, I'm going to subtract the 9,632 from both sides, but if we just look at this equation, all right, we've got x just in 2 places there, so we can factor out an x. And now, if we divide everything on both sides by the stuff that's in the square bracket, we get our final answer. Okay, I hope this is useful, and I hope you have a wonderful day.